Instagram hears me. I want to make sure. That's good. You can hear me now? Praise the Lord. Okay. Thank you. Happy Friday. Should I start over? Okay. You got sound. Woohoo. Good job. Okay. So part of the reason in the Finish Fridays, I want you to have a takeaway. I want you to be like, oh my gosh. Now you can hear me. Okay. I want you to be like, that was a great takeaway. I learned something. So the point of today is I want to talk about why wax. Now here's the deal. I have it to where there's a special code and you can only use it from today through Sunday if you hear the live. And so you can go to the Amy Howard at Home website and buy the wax today through Sunday by just typing in the code why wax live. Just spell it out, and it's going to give you 25% off on the waxes and the brushes. So that's exciting. So we're going to be starting this with the Finish Fridays, that you'll have a special code that you can use to be able to get a discount. But why wax? Now, let's go back. Let's go back into antiques. Anything that is 100 years old or more is considered an antique. And so we're in 2024. 1924 and older are now antiques. What did they use on antiques? We're up until really the mid-50s. They were using what? Varnish and shellac on furniture. A lot of you, do you know what varnish is? Do you know the ingredients in varnish? It's basically 3 ingredients. It consisted of egg yolks, linseed oil, and gum. The gum was what? The gum was bugs. You think about the little insects. You think about what do they have? They have those wings. They have hard shells on their bodies. And so they would take those insects and those bugs and they would make them into a gum property, which act as a protectant. So if we were looking at the same way with shellacs, a lot of that is from sap from certain trees, built in combination with the gum along with the insect, the little bug bodies, and that gave these protective coatings to whether it was stained, painted finishes, everything that we're looking at to antiques and vintage furniture. Let's fast forward into the late 50s and the early 60s. They started going in and using a lot of lacquers on furniture. One, they were doing that for the protective nature. But here's the downside. When you start going into lacquers and you're using a lot of those, they're very toxic. They're not good for the environment. They're not good for you. I'm asthmatic. And the other thing is they're not good. They continue to emit a lot of toxins into the air. So why wax? I'm going to show you several finishes today. I've not even showed my inner circle group some of these finishes. But I want you to start going, I had no idea. And I'm going to walk you through. Now, one of the first finishes that I'm going to show you is, look at this. I'm going to show you how you can get a rusty look to that's right, they also catch fire, Brad. A rusty look with wax. It's so easy, it's so fun. And the other thing I want you to be realizing, a lot of people are like, Amy, I don't really know why you have the one-step paint. I don't know why you do that. And here's the reason. The one-step paint, yes, you don't have to sand it or it allows you to be able to clean your surface well, get the surfactants off, and be able to go in and paint a piece. But part of what I love about the one-step, it has that dead, flat, chalky finish that allows me to go on top of it with the waxes. You cannot and you should not use acrylic-based glossy paints, enamels, and then put waxes on top of it because it can't grip to it. So I'm going to turn my camera down. I'm going to turn this around. As you pop on here, say, hey, I want to know where you're tuning in from. And as always, if you share this video, tag some good friends, we are going to do a drawing. So on Monday of next week, we'll announce the drawing and your name will go in just for sharing. And I will be shipping out the light wax, the dark wax, the cerusine wax, and the Mind Your Own Beeswax to the lucky winner. So all you have to do is share this video, tag some good friends that you know that are DIYers, and they will love it because this is going to be very informative today, I promise. All right, so I'm going to bear with me, I'm going to turn my camera down. Let's go this way. I want to make sure that, hold on, turn that back around. This is live, isn't that fun? All right, so let's turn this down so that way you can see it. Let me get it situated. All right. Now, are we good? All right, so now this is the first finish I want to show you. This is the rust finish. Now, the way to be able to get this, look at the subtlety of it. See the finish? It's very matte. It's not shiny. Now, I can come back a lot of times after my finishes, after I've waxed it, and I can buff them and I can get a little bit of sheen. I don't want to do that on this. So, I'm going to put this aside. I want to take you through the process. I'm just working with a little bamboo plate, and it's somewhat absorbent. A lot of times I work with cardboard, as y'all know if you've watched any of my other videos on YouTube. And I'm going to start with working with the Mind Your Own Beeswax. Part of the reason why I love this wax is because it is more in a liquid form. And in comparison, I'm going to show you something else done with the light antique wax, but we're going to be working with the Mind Your Own Beeswax. And so I'm going to take a little bit of our pigment. This is called Provincial Yellow. Now, don't judge it. You're going, well, Amy, that doesn't look like rust. When you start mixing waxes with pigments and milk paint and one-step paint, and it's going to change the color, but this is truly what I used in order to be able to get this. So I'm going to take a little bit out. And when I'm first mixing it, I'm not going to use the brush that I'm going to work with. I'm going to use either a craft stick or I'll use another kind of brush. But let's mix this together. I want you to be able to see, look at that. That pigmented wax, this can change your world. I mean, those of you that are artists, those of you that are furniture refinishers, the whole idea of the wax, and a lot of people don't realize or they don't know that the wax itself can be a protective coating. So with our waxes, and especially our light antique wax, it has carnauba in it. The carnauba is what hardens. So I don't want you to think that you've got to seal a piece of furniture before you wax it. The waxing process is actually going to harden over a period of time, and as years go by, it gets harder and harder, and you don't have to keep reapplying the wax. You can buff it with a lint-free rag. All right, so now I'm going to take a chip brush. And here's another tip that I really want you to remember from today. At Amy Howard at Home, we have synthetic brushes. These are fantastic. Now, I'm going to show you how to create a denim finish in just a minute, but I don't like applying the wax itself with a synthetic brush, so this is a no-no. I want you to use just a chip brush. The chip brush and the natural fibers in it is what's going to allow me, one, more control, and I'm going to be happier with the end result of the finish. So I'm going to just take my chip brush, I'm going to load it up on both sides like this. Now, the other thing is when you clean this, because the wax is a petroleum-based product, you're going to have to clean it with Clean Slate, or you can use paint thinner. But it's not going to clean with just soap and water. So I've put down my pigment. Please, if you're watching this later, do hashtag replay. But I really want to know where you're from. So as you pop on, just tell me, hey, tell me where you're tuning in from. And remember, the code for today is YWaxLive. You can go and use that on the website, and you can get your waxes and your brushes discounted through Sunday. All right, so now I'm going to take my black sample. Let me show you again. This is the rust-like finish. It's really pretty in person. I wish you could see it. And now I have my black one-step. You think with this is just one coat of the one-step. It dries down very matte. When I am doing waxed finishes, I do not want any gloss on my paint. So I usually either will work with the Better With Age, with milk paint, or with one-step. I would not use it over an enamel paint like the Miracle Paint. I would not. These projects you will not do with the Miracle Paint or another paint for that matter. So the first thing we need to do is always, when you're making your wax, offload it. So when I load it up, I'm going to offload it. And why? You're like, why can't I just go from mixing it over to here? One, you're going to have too much. And the other thing, it evenly distributes it on my brush. So now I'm going to go in. The other thing that you'll notice that I'm doing, I'm pretty much methodical about it. I'm going to be turning my wrist from side to side, and I want to make sure that I don't get too much on here. I'm going to load my brush up again just a little bit. The more pigment you add, the thicker and darker your color is going to be. So I came back just a little heavier. Look at that from the side. That's a pretty finish just like that. But look, I didn't totally saturate it. I'm allowing some of that black to peek through. And as this starts to set up, as a rule, with my pigmented waxes that I love creating, I can come back in. Even when it's at this point, I can take a lint-free rag and I'll just hit it just a little bit. Look, it's about creating interest. It's about creating dimension. So I'll come back in and I'll pull that wax off so that way that black is coming through, but it's down in the crevices. And then once I allow that to be able to dry down, it's going to dry down to a matte finish like this. There's no need to buff this. If I wanted to buff it, it's going to give me a lot of sheen. Now, I did this yesterday in preparation for the live, and I'll just show you. If I buff it like I'm buffing a shoe, look at that. Did you see that? It'll give me a little bit of sheen. Now, here's the other tip I want you to remember. Don't try to get this rag and get down with your finger down in the crevices. Let's allow that to create dimension and depth, because this is matte and this is a sheen. If you think about an antique or a piece of furniture over a period of time, part of what would create this sheen is the oil in our hands, our skin. So as it's touched, as it's brushed against that, the oil from our skin will literally create part of the sheen and the wear on that finish over a period of time. So this is beautiful. I love this. So that was finish one. Now I want to show you basically the same technique. I want to be able to show you, look at this. This is crazy. This is the before. This is simply black one step, and this is the after. Now this is part of the same type technique that I just showed you, but it is with red. So I want to break that out real quick. And I'm wondering, here's my pigment. So the pigment on this is Les Gustuvian. And some people may look at that and go, Amy, that's pink. Well, yes, it looks like it, but that's going to change in just a minute. So let's go on and take this. I'm going to get a new craft stick. As you pop on here, please say hey. Tell me where you're tuning in from. I know we've got a lot of crazy weather going around here. All right, so now I'm going to take just a little bit out of my Les Gustuvian. This is pigment. This is a pure pigment. So it's very, very strong. And a lot of people will say, well, Amy, what's the percentage? When you talk about the percentage of wax, the percentage of pigment, you do want to make sure you don't get too much pigment. I'll usually put a little bit more out because I pull from it. I kind of use it like I'm working on an artist palette. So let me just show you now with a brush. So I'm going to pull a little bit of my wax out like this. I'm going to pull a little bit of that pigment, and then I'll start to mix it together. Pull a little bit of wax, pull pigment. And you see how having a little bit more pigment is going to make my red go a little bit darker. Now, a lot of people don't realize it. Red is a very it's a hard color to deal with in the fact that it's more sheer. You'd think because it's so dark in the light reflective value that you would get better coverage, but it's not as opaque, and you usually have to use a little bit more pigment than you would maybe on this more ochre color. So I'm going to add just a little bit of that in. And I'm using this artist brush strictly as a blender. I want to make sure that I mix it really well. I'm not going to add a thinner to this. I'm not going to add any paint thinner or any clean slate because I want it to be able to be a beautiful combo, and I don't want it to get thin, but I've got to make sure that I mix it up. All right, so now let's go in and get our black piece, our trim that's painted with the one step. I'm just checking on you guys. Okay. So now I'm going to get a clean brush. Again, I need to be working with my chip brush. I'm going to load this up. I'm going to take my cardboard and offload it just a little bit. And now, I need just a little bit more color. It's the same technique that I showed you a while ago. I will tell you, one of my favorite finishes, and those of you that have known me for a long time, when I was manufacturing furniture, it was called the Amy Howard Collection. What's interesting, I love going to places like Cherish and First Dibs and seeing my furniture being sold on there. But this was a finish that we did very, very well with for many years. And at first, people will see this and it's like, well, that's garish. You cannot judge it until you're finished, because I'm going to come back. Now look, I just want to stop for a minute. I want you to see what I just did. I pounced it. Why? I'm trying to get it down into the crevices, but I've got to come back and thin it out now the touch here is getting much lighter. I'm coming off of it to where I'm thinning it just a little bit. I'm going to put this light down and see if that doesn't help just a little bit for y'all. Okay. So now let's look at it. This is not optimum of what I'm wanting, because I am wanting this to be able to set back. It's going to dry, and then once it's dry, I'm going to come back and I'm going to add some Dust of the Ages. So I want you to look at a comparison. Do you see the comparison? This is my finished finish. This is the process. So don't judge things until they're completely redone, because this is garish, but part of the whole reason with the Dust of Ages is it sets it back, and then I start to see these little glimmers of the red, and it does change it. So don't keep it to this point. We want to take it all the way through. All right, so now I'm going to take my lint-free rag, and I'm just going to blot this just a little. Look what's happened already. Look how the red now is down into the crevices. This is the black. There's just a little bit of red showing, but now we've got to dry it. So I'm going to come back with my, let me see. I need something to be able to fan it. These really aren't big enough, but let me just kind of do this. I'm just going to fan it. Part of why are you fanning it? Like, why does she have a piece of cardboard and she's fanning something? Here's a big key when you're waxing. If you don't make sure that this item that you have waxed has it's come to tack, T-A-C-K. So when you touch it, it shouldn't be greasy. It should feel cool, but it's not going to move around on you. Because if you put the Dust of Ages on this red wax before it has come to tack, basically what's going to happen, it's going to go black, and you will not be able to get that really pretty finish on it. So to be honest with you, because we're live, it's a little soon for me to put this on, but it's important for me to show you, because I want you to understand the process. So I'm going to take the Dust of Ages, and I'm going to take a little bit of it, and what it does, let's look at it again. Here's my goal. Can you see that? This is the goal of what I want it to look like. This is the process that I'm at. And I'm going to go on and take a clean brush. Don't use the brush that you've got wax on. And I'm going to load this thing up. Some people are like, why do you use so much? One, I will dump this back into the container. And look at the other thing. I'm pouncing. I'm not brushing yet. I'm just pouncing. So getting it down into the wax. Now I can take my container, and I'm just going to brush some of it off into it now. Just a little, not much. All right, let me clean this off just a little bit. As you pop on, guys, say hello. Tell me where you're tuning in from. And to let you know, we have a special code today because you're watching live. And it's called, you can go to the website. It's Why Wax Live. And it will give you 25% off on all of our waxes today through Sunday. All right, so now I'm going to take my lint-free rag. and I'm just gonna slightly buff it. Look at that. Look at that. Fab, 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 fab. Now, here's the other thing. A lot of people will say, you know, well, I have furniture. I've gotten it to where I like putting lacquers on it. It's not necessary, guys. If you paint something and you want to be able to have a durable finish, the wax will be that way. The longer this is on, the older it gets, the better it looks. It's true patina. It allows you to be able to get this kind of look where this is more of a fine cabinet finish. Can you see that? Absolutely stunning. Now look at the difference. This is the finish that we did that was more like rust. I don't want to buff it a whole lot. I want it to stay more matte. Where this, on the other hand, do you see the red kind of showing through? It's very, very subtle. Those of you that know me, it's all about creating really gorgeous, subtle finishes. It should not be overt. This should look very classic, like you would see on a beautiful, fine antique that you saw in a little shop in Paris. All right, so last but not, you know, I want to be able to show you, and I need to work quickly. What time is it? Okay, I want to try to keep these to where they're shorter, but I want to show you something. This is a plain board that I painted, and I wanted you to be able to see. A lot of you don't know, you can create a denim look. Got a little bit of a shadow going here. You can create a denim look on your pieces of furniture with wax. It's so easy. Look at that. It's kind of granular, but I love the fact that it does give you a lot of depth. Let me see if I can get this light down, if that helps just a little bit more. Look at that. So this is so easy to do. So I'm going to show you really quickly. You're going to be wax aficionados. I'm going to take a little bit of my Toscana milk paint. So one thing you may not know, you can take the waxes and mix them with milk paint. You can mix them with the one step. You can mix them with the pigments, and it gives you a huge variety. You can even mix them with mica powders. So I can make all kinds of metallic waxes myself. I don't have to buy them. I can simply mix them together and make a huge difference. So I'm going to take a little bit of Central Park. I'm going to put it in this bowl. And then I'm going to add my Mind Your Own beeswax. I'm going to add my Mind Your Own beeswax. Now, I'm going to go in and mix it up with a spoon. One thing that you're going to notice at first, when the wax is in the milk paint, look how much darker it goes. Now, here's what's interesting. As a rule, when I paint with the milk paint and it dries, it goes lighter. When I mix it with water, and I see that it goes darker, but then when I dry it, usually the milk paint color will dry the same color as when it is in its powder form. That's different when I'm mixing it with wax. So when I mix the milk paint with the wax, they're friends, they work together. Look at that gorgeous colored, look at that blue wax that I've got now. That's gonna allow me a lot of versatility. So I'm gonna take some of this and I'm gonna move it onto my cardboard. I'm going to take another brush. Again, don't use a synthetic brush. If you're watching this, if you're just now tuning in, please go back and watch the beginning, because I'm trying to, you know, build to a point of really teaching you the differences of brushes. And I'm going to apply this with a chip brush. Now, this one's going to be different because you're going to use two brushes on this technique. We're going to create a denim look, and we are going to need our chip brush to apply it, but we're going to remove it with a synthetic. The synthetic is a stiffer bristle. It really makes it more, it's coarser, and so it's going to allow me to be able to get the striation of what I'm wanting. So let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, so I'm going to go on and apply the wax. This is over a light gray color. And those of you that are watching, just be aware, we're going to be sending out an email, and I have the I'm going to have the step outs and the colors of everything that I've used for you to be able to have access to, and I'm going to put this in a blob. All right, so now I'm just applying my wax. Again, I'm going for a denim effect, so I don't care that it's kind of striated because that's desirable. Now, after I apply it with the chip brush, I'm going to come back with my synthetic, and you see how it's lobbed off here and it's stiffer. And I'm going to pull it this way, pull it. I am literally taking it off. So this is a negative tool. This is a positive tool. This was applying the wax. This is removing it, so it's negative. So I'm going to pull this here. Now I'm going to go the opposite direction. And this is what will give me this denim look. Come back again. Now, if you get a little guy like this, I will tell you the way to do it. I don't have any, let me see if I've got some tape. As a rule, what I do, I just take a little thing of tape and I'll put it down in it and it will lift that up. So that way it's not a problem. The other thing is once it dries out, you can just take it out. So now look, what I try to do is allow this wax to set up just a little bit, because that way when I'm dragging it, it's not as wet. So that way I can build it up, and when it dries down, it's going to look like this. So that's how you can create a denim look, and you can do this in reds. Just think, your imagination is the only thing that's going to keep you from creating these gorgeous finishes. And they're really, really pretty. This would be gorgeous on a beautiful chest of drawers. All right, so the same technique, I just wanted you to be able to see. If you don't want to use the striation to be able to create a denim look, look at this. This is a colored piece. Now, a lot of people would look at this and say, well, I had no idea that I could paint literally all my furniture like Bauhaus buff and come back and do colored waxes on top of it. That's all I did. Look at that. The other thing is it's got this variation to it that's so beautiful that allows me to be able to have a lot more depth that I wouldn't normally have if I was trying to paint the whole thing. That's part of the beauty to me. When you're painting something, it looks very solid. And then a lot of people try to go in with sandpaper, and I tell my students, don't do that. I want it to be more authentic looking. So it's so simple. I'm going to take what I use to do the denim to be able to show you. So I'm going to dip my brush, again, my positive brush, down into the wax. And I'm just going to come on top of, look at this. We don't judge things in the process. I'm going to pounce it down in here. I want to make sure that it gets everywhere. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to smooth it just a little bit. Now, wouldn't you know, it's like he may be in my paint. I'm not going to worry about him right now. So I can come in and apply this like this. Now I'm also going to come back with another brush that doesn't have any wax on it. And I'm just going to soften it just a little bit. Again, this is a negative tool. Now I can let this set up. This is a much lighter application. What are you noticing again? I'm just patting this. Look at this. I'm just patting it. I'm not pulling it. I'm not dragging it. And then that way, I've got my color that's down in the crevices. This one that I did yesterday, I just did a little bit darker of my wax. The other thing is, and it's hard to do this on a live, because there's a certain amount of tack time, dry time that you need to be able to get to. But to just think, this is a gray color, light gray that I painted, like a Selznick gray, on top of this. And I used my milk paint and created this gorgeous blue and put on top of it. Who would have known? So I want you to be able to see how incredibly transformative wax can be. Last but definitely not least, I want to show you one more thing. Now, a lot of you know I am known for my light wax and the dark wax. These two guys go together. They go together. You never use the dark wax by itself. If you want to be able to create a beautiful piece of furniture that looks like an antique, this is one that I did earlier with my milk paint. Y'all know that I love milk paint. I just think it allows us to be able to create really gorgeous finishes. I'm going to load this up, and then I'm going to offload it. Now here's something that I want you to get down. Do not cover the entire, don't cover the entire paint. I want it to be a dry brushing effect. Let me load this up just a little bit more. See the variations of it? When you hit this wax onto your milk paint, it's going to make it go just a little bit darker. But I don't want you to saturate it. And after you put your wax on, like this, I like having the lighter color and the darker color. That variance is what gives me a really beautiful, authentic finish. Now, that's it. I'm not going to do any more. I think this is how people ruin their finishes right off the bat, is that they put on too much wax. You've got to be able to learn when to stop and to kind of dry brush it. That's the whole point of offloading it onto the cardboard, so that way you can come back. And now I'm going to come back and add a little dark wax. Here's another big tip. A lot of times people put this dark wax on before this has come to tack. You want to wait usually about 5 to 8 minutes. Like right now I'm touching this and it's really, really greasy. Like I can literally get the grease off of this. So I'm going to get one that I had waxed earlier. This is actually a cracked patina finish. And I want to show you, as far as the dark wax, I want you to just kind of come around the edges. It's about giving depth. And it's more dry brushing. It's very, very little. Look at that. And then I'll work my way inside. Done. Done. I'm not going to touch it. Like, that's all the dark wax that I need. Can y'all see that? Instagram, can you see that? I don't mean to neglect you, Instagram. All right, so love that. Now, I can leave this like this. I don't have to buff it. You don't always have to buff wax. The whole reason for the buffing of the wax is to be able to get the sheen to where it feels like it's been used. But why would I buff this when in actuality I've used the cracked patina? I want it to look old and crusty, so I don't buff it. So part of the reason why I wanted you to be able to learn about the waxes today was because I realize I need to do 2 sessions. I want to show, last thing, and I'm sorry, those of you, some of you are on lunch and you're going, Amy, I got to go back to lunch. All right, so I just want to show you this one. I shouldn't have put that wax on there. Let me take some of this off. So you can use the cerusing wax. The whole point of the cerusing wax is that it is a white wax. And it's in a liquid form that it allows you to be able to go over, you can use this on floors, you can use this on cabinets. If you've got a dark stain, if you want to make something look like it's pickled or that it has a whitewash on it, all you have to do is use the cerusing wax. Grab those 2 samples. I want to just be able to show them. I've got T as my cameraman on Instagram, and she's also being my helper. So this is just a dark wood. Look at this. This is actually a Brazilian wood. It has a lot of tannins in it. It's very red. But if you want to kill the red on it, you can come on top of it, even with raw wood, and it'll be sealed to be able to have this gorgeous look. Now, I think this would be pretty if it had a little bit of a sheen to it. But I wanted you to be able to just see how you can create beautiful finishes and not have to go in and strip them. You can go on top of raw wood, natural wood, and be able to create these gorgeous washed finishes like that. It's so easy. So, that was, let's turn, that was a marathon. I wished y'all were here. I wished we could spend some more time, because I'm just going to tell you, it is a situation to where there's so many different finishes that we can do. And I didn't have time for this. Maybe I'll have to just show you, but look at this. This is a finish that I painted in this gorgeous green. Look at this. And came back and added the gold mica to my wax. Look at the difference. It's crazy, crazy. So why wax? This is why. I don't want you to think that you've got to put lacquer and solvent type products on top of the furniture that you're doing. It's not necessary. The Italians had it right, guys, hundreds of years ago. They used wax. They used the shellacs. They used the varnishes. But again, what was varnish made out of? Egg yolks. What? Gum, which is insects, and do you remember the last one? Gum. Somebody tell me on here. What was varnish made from? Gum, insects. I'm not going to tell you. I want y'all to post on here, and I want to go see who listened. So if you came on late, go back and watch it. Do hashtag replay. No, rabbit skin glue is used on when you need to come to my old world finishing class. So, but the combo of using, you think about the varnishes, a lot of the pieces, if you're getting pieces from the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, you don't have to strip them. That shellac and that varnish that was put on them is pretty much dissipated. Clean it really good with Clean Slate, and you can put the wax directly on top of it, and you can totally transform them. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. This was fun. I'm excited. I have so much. There you go. Gum, egg yolks, and insects. Ding, ding, ding. Great job. Great job. So I am thrilled that you were here. I've got an idea. Let's meet here next time. And the gum, no, sorry, Larry. The gum is the insects, right, linseed oil. But anyway, let's meet back here next Friday. Grab your lunch, and I'm going to show you to create some beautiful finishes. I'm so excited. Have a great day. Share this video. Your name will go in for a drawing. That way we can select the drawer that will be drawing the winner on Monday, and we'll announce it, and I'm going to send you a whole lot of wax. But you can use the link. It's Why Wax Live. Go to the website and you can get it 25% off today through Sunday. Have a great day, guys. Mwah. Love you.